All right, Jay, it's good to be back.
Oh, I love
We've been filming some weird motherfucking commercials.
Yes, we have. They're very strange.
Speaking of that, Tactical Distributors, Impossible 15. What's it get you?
15% off at checkout, tacticaldistributors.com.
They have good stuff, man. Those new pants they sent me, because, I keep trying to, like, exercise and diet, and I just keep getting thicker and thicker. I'm like a fucking biscuit rising now. And they sent me some stretchy pants, man.
Yep.
It's like yoga pants for men's the way they feel, but you look awesome.
One thing about their pants that I didn't know until they told me when we were down there was that whatever size pant you are, you order it, every one is 1 inch bigger in size because they promote inside the waistband carrying. So they're...
For real?
Yeah.
I thought they were just helping us fat guys that didn't want to.
That's what I thought too, but
admit to
but they're like, no, we do it because like we want guys to carry a gun in their pants. I was like, that's pretty cool.
I don't carry.
Well,
but I'm packed.
But if you do,
I don't know. I feel like there's a commercial in there somewhere for it. I love having fun. Just laughing is the best thing. I don't know what the hell's wrong with people don't like to have fun and laugh. Wally,
they were good sig.
Buddy, it's good to see you.
You too.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah?
Thanks for having me up here. It's obviously been a long time. Thanks for reaching out. I think that was December or January. You hit up Kramer and reconnected us. And
yeah, I saw you at the Sock F thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd been a few years.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, life's funny, isn't it?
It's always interesting.
So Jay, Wally and I met. I don't know. It's in the scope of your life. It was a long time ago,
right? Yeah.
But but it is interesting. I mean, that's another thing that like Sock F. We talked about it here before. Like, what a great charity and organization where these guys actually. I mean, not that they all don't start that way, but out of the goodness of their hearts and still not taking any money.
No, I can't, thank them enough. Just their leadership kind of in that charitable space with, different organizations, and then as well for just what they do for veterans and the families.
It's so cool. And I tell you, Dave, because I don't know how old it is now. It's maybe like 10 years old. It's getting up there.
Well, it started with, when we lost Shady.
That's right.
And it started with these magazines.
That's right. Dave painted some of them red with a stencil that he did.
Yeah, that's kind of how it started. And then they kind of kept going, kind of figuring out how they could give that money away to the families. And then he started everything.
It started with Gold Star Families, I'm guessing. Yeah.
Yep. And then it started obviously out of Atlanta. He got all his friends together, all the crew, Dave Money, Griff, Scott.
Great human beings.
Oh, just amazing. And then all the things they did in Atlanta that kind of inspired us at Tomahawk to start our charity, and just look at just the different way to do things. And we're fortunate enough where our business makes enough money, so we pay the people, which is my business partner, my wife. We pay them. But it's all through our for-profit business, and then we have the nonprofit where none of these donations go to anybody's salary.
Oh, that's awesome. So like Sock F.
Yeah.
So you've got, it's Tomahawk
Charitable Solutions.
Charitable Solutions.
Yep.
And so that's the nonprofit.
That's our nonprofit, yes.
And so you were telling me you guys had given money to Sock F that you've raised.
Oh yeah. So I mean that's the premise of the charity that we have. We looked at it and we didn't know what we wanted to give to, but we knew we wanted to give to veterans, law enforcement, and family members. And we saw some kind of gaps in the current charities out there, just in the fundraising. And we understood that we had through the different businesses that we do, but as well just life in general. We knew a lot of people, and we could bring these people together for an event. We do it in Nashville every year.
Oh, Nashville's a great town. That's where you are now.
Yep, I love it. Nashville.
These events are so fun too. I don't even know how to explain to people, but I go to Africa. So I mean, by the time this is up, I will have been gone, and I'll be gone for a few weeks. And I'm actually coming home a little early to go to the next Sock F event there in Georgia.
Yep.
And it is such a great time because, last time, that's where I got this mag. There's 53 of you guys there. So basically, I don't, what would you say? It's like special forces, or are these all tier 1 guys, or?
Nope. It's Special Operations Care Fund. It sets the whole, I know they're charters for pretty much all special operations. So it's not just Navy SEALs or Green Berets or tier 1. It's, the Air Force guys. It's also the paramilitary guys. So a lot of those are underserved. I think they just don't have that natural gravitas where, and it's not unbeknownst to them. It's like they should have the support of everybody.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, I guess politics it always is, but this just seems so simple. But these events in general, like you've been to them, I've been to them. That last event last year was so fun. There was like 53 of you guys there. I think that was the biggest SOCF event ever. They raised $1 million that night. One night.
It's insane.
Yeah, so it's so cool because, I was there with Caleb Cry,
Tom Smith,
Wayne Weber. Oh, Tom Smith, the auctioneer. Tom, remember last year he auctioneer because Jeremy wasn't there, and sold his shirt, took his shirt off and sold it for $6,000 at the end of the night. Like, Tom Smith, what a great fucking American.
Good dude.
But those events they've turned into so fun because I don't like the kind of hoity, stuffy shit where everybody's proving how rich they are. It's pretty great when somebody looks like they could be homeless and they spend $100,000 on a gun, and then give it away to auction it back off. I mean, there's a lot of fantastic people there. Those events are such a blast, and there's all kinds of great stuff. Like they had the stuff from. Remember, they had the thing from the rotor or something from Black Hawk Down, where they went and recovered that, and that was auctioned off last
they
time.
Had a piece of that. They had. They've had different uniforms. They've had, and just very unique events as well that you can kind of partake in. Yeah.
So this one they do sporting clays. So you go shoot sporting clays, and so you get some one of the special forces guys there that have received help, or either some of the guys just come to help raise the money, but have received help from the donations to SOCF, and you get to go around shoot sporting clays with them, and then you have a great dinner that night. And then it's just some drinking and an auction. And so lots of great people in the industry donate product. And so you can actually, too, I don't think they do a good job of promoting this, but, look at me being a critic when they do everything for free. But on their website, and they generally have a little app thing where you can bid on the silent auction stuff, even remotely. And then they have a live auction there, and that's when things get crazy. Like we sold... a honey badger, the first one, honey badger pistol for $28,000. Last
fix went crazy, right?
Yeah, because I was getting drunk last time. Vonka and I were there, and I was I had a couple drinks, and it's like, hey, Q's doing pretty good, and our fix was up there, and when it got to $10,000, I was like, hey, I'll give 12, and it gets to 18, I'm like, I'll give 20, and it got to 30, and this is where I was clearly drunk because I was like 32, and fortunately. Some guy with actually a lot of money bought it for $38,000, a fixed rifle that we built. I mean, that just goes to show you the spirit of those things and the people that are there. Oh man, and that turned out great for him because then some, special forces sniper is actually so he gets the gun and they're going to train him how to shoot and everything last year after that. So you just get all the it's great for everyone involved.
No, it's just a good old wholesome time. The SOCF event, and then and then we have our event in Nashville. So we have country music stars. They come in and sing. We've just got a great atmosphere. It's just a very, you got a lot of Star Wars here. It's like a Star Wars bar of people. You got guys from our background. You got guys from some of the corporations that we work with. We've got friends, people from Nashville. They come in from all over the United States, and we raised $1 million. The past 2 times we've had it in person, each time has been over $1 million.
Jesus. Those country music stars. You guys have that hockey team you're friends with.
Yep. That event's in the end of or middle of November. It's on a Tuesday, November 15th. But then this year is going to be the first year we're going to do something in the spring. We're going to do a golf tournament May 6th out in Nashville.
Golf.
I brought golf back to Maine. Yeah, just before we get into that, if anyone wants to donate to SOCF, they can go on their website and they can pick the link right here and they can donate.
One thing we've done with that is in the past when people if you've got a gun on order from us, look, we're trying to fix it. We have quite the backlog, year and a half backlog on guns. If you donate to SOCF, we bump you up.
Oh, nice.
So we do that. And some people, it's still cool. Like $1 is great, but some people are cheap and they donate $10. We have people that'll donate $500 or $1,000 to do it because it's for a good cause. So why don't we do it for your charity as well? You got a website and everything?
Yeah, TomahawkCharitableSolutions.com.
Right here.
Right here. And if you guys donate, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so if you do that and send it to us and you've got a gun on order with us or anything else that's on back order, silencer or something, Jay says you can go to the front of the line. So all you got to do is send the receipt.
To info@livegear.com.
Yeah, or Instagram.
Yeah,
and
Instagram.
slide into Jay's DMs.
Yeah.
And we'll get you hooked up with that. That's cool.
Yeah, so... but yeah, there's other organizations that we support. Like I said, we're kind of the fundraiser. We bring these people together, we raise these funds, and then we every year the funds that or the charities, the nonprofits that we support, we make them go through a grant process. We just don't want certain charities kind of lose their way, as you kind of brought up in the before. And what we want to do is we want to just make sure that we're being good stewards of the individuals that donate to us. So we're going to keep up to speed on all that. So there's some charities that take veterans and law enforcement out hunting. We've got some charities, Spikes Canine, that works for dogs. They work on the ballistic vest for dogs through Jimmy. We've got One More Wave. They make surfboards, so surf therapy for
nice
for veterans. And then we have SOWW, that that's another one that does some hunting. So because everything's not the same, right?
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't respond to the same thing, but everybody's got to be different.
The surf one is cool that you just said. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. So there's that one. There's those, and there's a couple other ones that we support, and we go that way. One of the big ones that we've done is a partnership with SOCF and us. Is we put together basically a full grant program for any special operator that needs MERT treatment, so magnetic resonance therapy, and that helps with different kinds of PTS, TBI, and
lifting the fog, as Dave says.
Yeah. So in concert with SOCF, we've put a bunch of veterans through that, some special operation veterans, and it's been really fulfilling to be able to kind of offer that. And
that's incredible because you've been through it as well.
Yep, I went through it back in 2016 when it was a newer treatment.
Yeah,
but now they're streamlining the process so it doesn't cost as much, and you can kind of move forward on that side of it. And I can't get into all the specifics of actually how it works, but
essentially like brain treatment.
Yeah.
So that's incredible. Yeah, I was interested. I talked to Dave probably once a month, and hearing he's always trying. He's doing several things well. I think part of it when we talk about some of the charities losing their way, when they get so big, it's a business.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about like Dave Kramer or yourself or Griff Griffin or these guys at SOCF, like they all have careers and jobs, and it's their spare time they do all this. And as it grows, it's more and more and more. So you got to have people donate, or either their time and energy, not just their money, because you got to find things to do with it, or you have to start hiring staff. Then it becomes a business. And so I can see where this is like a cyclical thing. Like Wounded Warrior started an awesome thing. It gets so big, and so you need to backfill with some of the more grassroots things where they're hands-on and and people they have to make a living, when they're working at some of these charities. Sure.
But if there's a way, and we've kind of figured it out, where we have our for-profit business, and that can cover the costs. And
that's a great segue. What is your for-profit business now?
So
now, since you're getting old and quasi-retirement,
Tomahawk Strategic Solutions.
Yeah.
Yep. So
it's very strategic.
Yes. Strategic thinking.
Yeah.
So I started that when I was medically retired back in 14, end of 14, and the primary goal is we want to make communities safer.
Yeah.
Whether that's through the law enforcement training that we do or the gear sales that we have for law enforcement, and then on the corporate side, whether it's their security consulting, it's their armed guard, unarmed guard training, their employee or their associate population training, just so if they are in one of these events, an active threat event, they're able to kind of think through the program or think through the problem, and they're able to assess everything. So it's giving them an opportunity to kind of try out if something was going to happen, and hopefully they don't freeze during any one of those events.
Yeah. So you guys do training, gear, and then what's the other part of it?
So it's training on the corporate and the law enforcement side.
Yep.
So if something was to happen in a big institution that we're training with, we know that they have their own security apparatus. We know that the law enforcement's there, and at some point, their law enforcement's coming. So how does everything bridge? How do we bridge that gap between law enforcement showing up, their own security team taking care of the threat, and then how is that security apparatus going to get the information to the law enforcement individuals? And then as well, the associate population, how are they going to react to it and bring more information to the individuals that need to respond?
When did you start that?
That was end of 2014 is kind of when we formed everything. Our first jobs were, I think it was April 1st, probably April Fool's Day of 2015.
Well, okay. So how much has it grown since then?
Exponentially. We started it with two of us going to Panera and wherever else we had some Wi-Fi. That's when we were starting it. It's a classic bootstrapping. And then now we're at 18 full-time employees and probably 70 to 80 1099s across the United States.
It's a real business.
And you were saying that on the corporate side, you're training the security as well as law enforcement, and also some level of training to the employees of the site.
Yeah. So we have the employee kind of the run, hide, fight kind of methodology that DHS uses. That's kind of what we prescribe by, and we lay out those things of how to prepare, how to think through it, not to make anybody paranoid, but if something was to happen, how we could do that. And then we once we started doing that with some of the organizations that we're working with are they have their main hubs, but then they have a lot of branches or other off-site places. So we worked on a online capability to make sure that the message that they're getting at the branches is the same message that we're getting in some of the in-person training that we're giving as well.
And I saw the Tomahawk Institute. Is that?
Yeah, that's the online.
Okay,
version
that's
of what
the
we
okay.
have. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to ask you a sort of unrelated question, but related. So I just watched Dave Chappelle. Maybe it's The Closer, one of his specials. He talks about them doing the active shooter drills for the students in school. What do you think about that?
There was a time when, because obviously being a small business, we can pivot pretty quickly. So we pivoted, and we're like, okay, we're going to put everything into this kind of school thing. We think it's going to grow.
Oh, so you did investigate this? Yeah,
we did, and it there's very few schools that want to do it. There's some principals that do want to do it. The ones that do, we still work with, but a lot of the time it's
so high profile and it's such a political thing.
Yeah.
Where it shouldn't be. And
well, even outside of
I can't imagine having to be the principal in charge of that and deal with the parents.
That's the thing. Like, even if they want to do it, it's the repercussions from the parents, for the unjust repercussions from the parents and all that. But I can't imagine.
No, but we've done it. Interestingly enough, we have done some exercises in high schools, and the municipality brings us in. So it's their whole law enforcement team. So that's not only their patrol, it's their SWAT. You've got their fire, you've got their EMS, you've got their incident command, and so we're doing a full scale kind of exercise. And when we've worked in the high schools, we open it up to minors if their parents obviously sign the waiver and come and do the training. And that's where you get some of the best feedback. However, there's a lot of parents that aren't open to exposing their children.
Yeah, it's so crazy to me that it never crosses my mind that the police are going to save my kids. Never crosses my mind.
Well, and that's an example of what you're explaining. Like, if you do that full scale exercise, it should hit them in the face. Like, hey, look at how fucked you are if this happens. Like, you were not able to.
I think
and maybe
it's the head in the sand. It's
right.
like they can be. It's like when people are ignorant about firearms and stuff, they're terrified of them.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, if we just ignore it, it'll be fine.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I feel like
that's I don't. Well, I know what I think. My opinion is like, what's the solution to stop like that? What was the Sandy Hook?
Mm.
It's that idiot crazy kid shot the kindergartners.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like, what's the solution for that?
Well, I think if you look at it, holistically. There's a few things that you have to look at it. There's obviously having a police officer at the school is going to help. It's not going to be the end all be all. We saw that down in Broward County. So you have to have training for those individuals as well. So you have to invest in the training and the resources to be able to kind of do that. Number two is it comes down to the different things that are open to you. You have to be aware of kind of the different things. So just locking a door and having some procedures, locking that door, making sure they can't get in. Well, how did he get in? He obviously shot through the glass, opened up the door. Well, there's technologies out there now that basically it's a film, and it just, once you shoot through it, it can take those rounds. Even if you have a baseball bat, you can start hammering on that door, and it's going to be able to delay him beginning to be able to get into that building and causing harm. So that's what you're wanting to do. You're wanting to delay that as long as you can, so law enforcement can get there, because the average response, 90 seconds. There's obviously a lot of damage that can happen in 90 seconds. So you have to delay that as much as you can, so that at least the police officers have that shot.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about those things, but yeah, I mean, that's the way I think about security for like whatever my gun collection and stuff. It's just layers of things to where it takes time.
Yep.
But yeah, it just also seems like I see the high school here where my children go. It's a giant school, and some of the hallways are like 100 yards long.
Yep.
And their resource officer, that sweet little lady, she's carrying a pistol, and I'm like I can shoot okay. I think I'd rather have a rifle.
That's one thing that I felt like. I watched a couple of the videos that on the Tomahawk YouTube channel, and there was an exercise at a JP Morgan, I believe. I don't know if we can say that. It's in the video. It says in the video. And there was local law enforcement that showed up. It was a couple female officers, and then the SWAT team ended up coming. But I'm watching the local law enforcement, like the patrolmen and women, go through the building, and the whole time I was thinking, like, I would feel real undergunned. Like, they just had pistols. And I'm like, I would be, because, like, there's a big institution.
Yeah.
And they're going through, like,
that's what I think about with my kids' school. It's like that, like, basically you step into the main hallway and you look this way and it's a 100-meter range, down a hallway. Like, ooh, a pistol.
And also you bringing it up, like, knowing that, like, growing up, we had school resource officer in our school or whatever, nice guy. And, like, as I'm older, my parents being law enforcement, I know a couple SROs, and it's like good people, but I have more confidence in everyone here that helping me out than those dudes. Like, they just don't have the training.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. It comes down to the training, whether it's an SRO, whether it's a patrol officer. I think there's a misnomer out there that law enforcement, because they've done it for 20 years, they're consistently training, and you see it, a lot of it's on the job training, but they're not taking that time to be able to do it. And it all comes down to resources. It comes down to time. It comes over to overtime. So it's not completely their fault at all. It comes down to a lot of those resources. Yeah. But there's a lot of like a lot of the municipalities that we train with, they take it seriously. They want to invest in their officers, and that's really where I think where good leaders are. They're investing.
Yeah, I mean, a good leader, somebody smart, is going to understand this training.
Yeah, you have to invest in the people. You're not buying. A lot of people want to buy the gear, and they think that's like the best end all be all. But it comes down to down to that training.
I thought with Sandy Hook, it was like if the principal had an AR.
Well, I mean, there's fire extinguishers in every classroom. Why is there not? Like, it's in a case, and everyone knows, just don't break the glass, like, unless you need to. What's the difference? A fire is going to kill you, just like a gun will kill you.
Well, I mean, the Israelis, they figured out, like, they started training all their teachers, and they just started all carrying guns, and so then it stopped a whole bunch of that school shooting and bombing stuff because people get shot real quick.
And agreeably so. However, we obviously live in a place where we're not going to find that. First off, that's acceptable for whatever reason. And then on top of that, to find because then it still comes down to training.
Right.
So, but you have to look at it. And if you're not, just throwing that in there, it's not going to,
I agree.
It's got to be more of the training.
I think that kind of, I think that falls in all of the areas. And we've talked about it before, but the education and training and the lack thereof, just in everything, specifically guns and gun safety and whatever. But I mean, we talk about it with the industry, whether it's silencers or just specifics, whether it's like fast twist or things like that. The lack of there's such a responsibility that should be put on for us manufacturers, I think, for you guys like you, to educate and to train the consumer, quote unquote. And I think that there's a disconnect there, and it's happening. Like, obviously you guys are doing that. And obviously we try, like with this podcast, we try to educate and not so much train, but at least educate the consumer. And I feel like this somewhere along the line that was lost at the grand scale. And I don't necessarily know how that becomes popular again.
But I mean, you look at it. I mean, we've all been there. We've been to SHOT on range day, and there's some very well-known writers that when they pick up a gun, you're like, you should not be picking up that gun.
Yeah, I'm so terrified of ranges in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I don't work with you or know you, like, I'm generally not at the range.
And you can tell just by the simple weapons handling.
Yeah.
Within about 5 seconds if a person knows what they're doing or not.
Because, I mean, to me, it's like riding a motorcycle. You know, like eventually you're going to lay that thing down. And eventually, like, as much as like you shoot or I shoot, like, stuff goes wrong. Whether you make a fumble or, you know, you have a mechanical issue, like something's wrong with the fire, like things go wrong. You have to be so careful. Mm-hmm. And I've always been that way about, you know, I guess maybe when I was a kid working at a public range.
Right.
And seeing like the worst stuff ever. Oh, I'm not a paranoid person when it comes to gun ranges. A little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, it's you got to have a healthy respect for it.
Yeah. Now with YouTube, you get to see all these great videos of morons in gun ranges. Everything's videoed now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Instructors too. I mean, there's a super popular video of a guy with a revolver. It's like
That's
500 or whatever. And he's
Did you mean to do that?
Yeah. And yeah. But it's like, how? Like,
we should link to that.
Yeah, that video
it's
rips.
such a great video. Oh. And that guy looks like the stereotype of a douchebag.
Yeah, he's got his cargo shorts on.
Oh my God.
So scary. But that's the thing is, like, granted, maybe that guy 9 out of 10 times is a pro. Maybe he's their best guy. But things go wrong. I mean, he doesn't look like it. But like you said, things go wrong. Granted, the thing that went wrong was he pulled the hammer back and then pulled the trigger.
Yeah, and everything about that video was wrong. But I just think, like, I don't know how many rounds I've shot through a gun, but it's hundreds and hundreds of thousands. In trying to think of, like, you know, having ADs or things like that. But most of ours is like we're working on, you know, prototyping and building things, and you know, you're at the range and something happens. You're like, oh, thank God that was pointed down there.
Yeah.
You know, like you get surprised occasionally. Yeah, but that video is great.
It rips.
Fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So, how's a pandemic been for you, businessman?
The pandemic's been interesting, as everybody says. Interesting is an interesting word. It makes you think and makes you evolve.
How'd you stay in business? Are you guys training in masks now?
We follow every regulation.
Ugh.
No, so we probably had 3 months of complete cancellations, postponements, whatever you want to call them.
Oh, that was it, just 3 months.
Disruptions, because we knew we had these clients that they knew that they had training. Some of our clients,
don't want to get shot or a cold.
Yeah. So some of our other clients needed. They actually had open buildings. And it was a perfect training environment because there was nobody in there.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, a lot of places.
So once we kind of got over that initial kind of disruption, we started reaching out to our clients, figuring out how we could utilize some of these training spaces that they might not be able to. So we kind of made lemons with what we had, and then kind of continued to kind of grow that that kind of mindset. Like, okay, if this building is going to be completely empty except the security, like how can we maximize?
Yeah, that's great training rather than just setting up some container range where like you guys would typically do training.
Yeah, you just think about it. It's your hometown. Like make them have second thoughts about you're going to know the layout way better than any other adversary there. So you can take the time and kind of train through that and kind of come up with different drills and exercises.
The home field advantage is a real thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So that was good. That was good for us. We continued because the other way we saw it is some organizations, some municipalities had extra budget money that they were going to lose anyways.
Oh yeah, because it was budgeted and they weren't able to do it.
Exactly.
Oh, that's good.
So they came to us for gear recommendations and different things that they could do on that side if they couldn't do the training, or they could do the training. It really depended. And every place is completely different on how they use funds and what kind of funds they use. But we're there to try to kind of help them on that and guide them with the different gear that we've kind of worked with in our old lives.
Yeah.
And then kind of whatever's emerging now, and kind of keep our finger on the pulse on that side of it.
What?
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, it's sort of a transition, but one thing that I noticed there's a few videos on the YouTube channel and then the stuff that you sent me. Going through it, the one thing that kind of stood out to me, and I was curious to ask you about it, is that a lot of guys, especially now, you see a lot of guys get out of the military at all levels, but a lot of tier 1 guys as well. And it seems like that's training is just like the natural thing for them to do. And I think that from what it seems like, a lot of them focus very heavily on their previous life in the tactics, like not necessarily like TTPs that they're teaching or anything, but they focus super heavy on it. And from what I saw,
it's just the easiest way to do it.
Right,
it's
absolutely.
hard to start a business and diversify.
Right,
I mean, that ain't easy.
And that's from what I'm getting at is from what I saw in those videos. It seems as though you found a way to apply it to the world that each customer, I guess, each world that they live in. Mm-hmm. And I was curious if you would say that that's what differentiates you from this huge influx of guys getting out and focusing. I'm a trainer now.
Yeah. No, I think I think that's a good point. We look at every client differently. It's not you're just getting something out of the box. We sit there, we listen to them. Every client's different. Their right and left flanks of what you can do is completely different. Whether it's a SWAT team here in the Northeast, in California, in Florida, every single SWAT team is going to be a little bit different. So you have to take the time to kind of listen to them and make sure on that side. Any organization that says there's only one way to do it, they're wrong. Like it's not that. You're pretty naive if you think that's it. I understand that. Army, Navy, they've got some different things, but it works for both of them. As long as everybody's on the same page, then you're going to be on a way better playing field.
Yeah.
So whichever way you kind of want to do it, there's multiple different ways to do it. Anybody that stands there on their soapbox and says this my way or the highway, you can tell right there they're not looking at it. So they're not the clients. It's not their best interest.
Right.
The client's interest is how do we do this, and how do I take what you guys took and learned overseas and adapt it to modern day policing, because it's not the same. Distance and space is a lot of the things that is the same, but rules of engagement are different. A lot of the other tools that you have are different, so you can't just take something that you learned and just say, hey, fit. You learn how to fit this in. It's us, and we have to do it. And we have a diversified group of backgrounds that we use. So we've got guys from mine, we've got guys from the Army side, we've got guys from corporate, we've got guys from the law enforcement side. So we bring everybody in, and we kind of come together on that consensus of how we're going to teach it and what's the best way different municipalities can grasp it, and then as well different the different clientele sets as well. So if it's an armed guard, if it's whether those are proprietary or third party, we have to kind of put that out there and make sure that those individuals, and we're putting a product down that they can consume and then execute on kind of those plans. So we go back and forth. We do our own internal training. Obviously, once you get out, your time setting. But the cool thing about us is we've got a lot of individuals that are coming out of our, these backgrounds that I kind of talked about there that can keep us up to speed. So we know that we're still kind of hitting all those marks on if there's a different TTP, flip or something like that. We're able to kind of continue to incorporate that.
As guys like us get older, the world changes, Jay. You'll see it one day, son.
Someday, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
So-
I think he's making a good point where it's like if you have
how do you stay relevant?
Yeah, and also you kind of touched on it without directly touching on it, but it's cool to see that regardless of or depending on who your client is, like you're not gonna show a financial institution the same thing you would show local law enforcement and so on. And I think that's that disconnect where I see, because you see a lot of videos on whether it's Instagram or YouTube or whatever of guys trying to build their brand, which is what you have to do. Like, but it seems like every client or every video, they're showing them the same thing. And regardless of who it is, whether it's local law enforcement, whether it's private security, regardless. But I think that is a differentiator between you guys and a lot of the stuff you're seeing.
And we have to. You can't just go down there and shove something down somebody's throat that they're not kind of wanting to do. So you got to listen to your client, and then realize too, some clients aren't. It's not a good fit. And maybe there's a competitor out there that that we're friends with that can say, hey, you might want to go that way.
Yeah.
They have a better understanding of kind of what you want on that side of it. So so we're working kind of on that side of it as well. The pond is huge. You can't take all the business. It's just it's not possible. And so we look at it holistically on that side of it, and then kind of figure out where kind of we fit in on that side of it. If the client's right, then it's right. If it's not, you gotta look at that. And I'm sure we've all kind of fired some clients before, but to the I'm not looking.
We
at you.
certainly have.
but hey, you got to look at it like that, and we want to differentiate ourselves by that kind of diversity of backgrounds that we have.
Yeah,
and then on top of that, just performing kind of what we're doing and explaining the why behind what we're teaching.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge thing. And I think you've seen it. A few other companies come out and do that, and that was big. If somebody's teaching you something and they can't explain the why, then you should probably get somebody else teaching you it.
Well, it's the responsible way of doing it too. Like you don't need to teach a bank teller how to do a dynamic entry on a room. Like
No, you need to teach them de-escalation of consumer facing, and we do that. We have these different courses for the different individual that you have, and it's not the red, the round hole square peg.
Yeah.
You got to customize. You got to shave that peg down so it does fit for the clientele, and understand what they're doing, and then because that's what you can see. You can see what's working for them, and then you can continue that. And a lot of this, the 80% answer, if you will, you can take some of this and put it to another client, but you still have to shape the rest of that 20% of the problem.
Well, you do so like corporate municipalities, high net worth or something like that. Do you guys do any just like regular civilian training or classes?
They're with certain entities. So we've done it. We were talking about one of our friends that came up here. We were what's his name? We were just talking about
Tom Smith,
No,
Dave Kramer,
no,
Wayne Weber, Mike Murphy,
Griffin and Howe.
Mike Murphy.
Yep.
Mike Murphy.
So we've taught things there. We haven't in a while, but then there's another place out in California. It's called Wing and Barrel. We put on some different training for some of their members.
So this is also
How to kill birds good.
This is also sort of borderline high net worth, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's kind of those those individuals that kind of can come in there, they appreciate kind of what our brand is.
You're not teaching like a level 1 CCW.
No. No, it's to them. We look at it holistically as well, and that as well. If you're going to be carrying a gun, you should have a medical course. So we do all that. So make sure you know how to put a tourniquet on. Make sure you're carrying a tourniquet. Whether it's in your purse, whether it's in your briefcase, whether it's in your car, be prepared. You'd rather obviously have this stuff than not, and then try to use your tie or your belt
or a tampon. That's still going around. People are training. There are guys that are training. Use a tampon if you don't have anything else.
You shoot yourself. I'm totally stuffing a tampon in you.
No, please
somewhere.
don't. Please don't.
Somewhere you're getting a tampon shoved in you.
But that's the big thing. It's making these are the things you have to have. Like if you're carrying a gun, concealed carry, a police officer.
This reminds me a lot of Bill Rapier.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Some of the stuff he was talking about.
I mean, you got to look at it like that.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, so we kind of do all that. If you're a corporate security individual, and you're wearing a suit, is there any way to differentiate yourself as a friend or a foe?
Right.
We use it sashes to kind of help with that. Do you have concealable body armor? If you're a corporation and you're expecting your security guards to respond to a threat, you should probably give them some kind of concealable body armor. So you have to kind of look at it that way. And then you build a program around kind of what they're needing. And then you kind of shape that program for each different client. Like I said, no client's the same, even if they're in the same industry, whether it's real estate, financial.
It's so funny, and I'm sure like this kind of work is expensive. But like as our company grows, being totally different, but when you think about processes or even security that we do at the building now, but we think of like our new ERP system, it's so much cheaper to buy the right thing first.
Oh,
yeah.
Yep.
I mean, and whether it's, like physical security or training or our ERP system or equipment, it's like I get to, our company's to the certain size now to where it doesn't matter what the price is. Like if this is the thing we need for the next 5 years, it's what we got to do.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it's just
buy once, cry once. Or whatever.
Or something.
Buy once, cry once. Yeah.
I liked yours better.
Cry once, cry once. Cry once, cry once.
Just
keep trying.
Yeah. But I think it's true. And I see it now with training for anything. Our machinist, for our ERP systems, just for anything that we're doing at work, whether it's, welding, running the EDM machines, our security, like the physical security for our building now. Mm-hmm. I'm like, let's just do what we're going to need forever right now.
Yeah.
Or everything that we can foresee.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's just not, because, before you know it, this is going to take twice as long as we think, cost twice as much, and then half the time we think we're going to have to upgrade.
Yeah.
Like that's what I've learned with experience. I'm like, I ain't got time to load mags, man. Like
I linked your ammo for you.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah. So that's, it's something I learned like as the business has grown, but with maturity as well. Like I was telling you about that ridiculous couch I've got, and I started looking at it, and it was like, well, my allergist is like, get rid of all, get like leather, and told me this mattress to get and all because my allergies are all screwed up here. And I start looking at the couch. Normal sofas, and I go look at them and sit on them. I'm like, man, I don't like this, and I got to get leather, which I don't want anyway. I was like, I get a new sofa like once every 10 years. I should get whatever in the world it is that I want.
Yeah.
And, I'm
you did
fat and lazy, so I spend a lot of time on the sofa. So it's like, get what I want. And I did. I don't regret it, except when my son, when I'm out of town, he eats on it and then ruins it. I want to strangle his little... Oh. It's like, I thought you wanted to punch me in the face. Well, good, because I did. Exactly what I wanted to do. But you weren't 18 yet, so you didn't get punched in the face. Well, punk, he's awesome. God, I love that kid. I wish I didn't sometimes as much as I do. I could strangle him this morning. My man, he's into thrifting.
Yes, he is.
And I didn't show you guys the pictures or anything this morning. So, he's into, as you guys have seen, this dressing like the 90s.
I like it.
Yeah. And so he goes thrifting, and he brags to me about, he spends $6 on this Nautica windbreaker that's so awesome that, Wu-Tang was wearing in some video, whatever. And so he washed one last night, and I opened the washer to wash some of my stuff. And there's one little windbreaker's in there. But you know what else is in there? 1 million pieces of that plastic liner that dry rotted. It was all over the place. It took me half an hour to get that stuff up. And I was just like, oh, relax.
Yeah.
And well, at least he didn't have all the other clothes in there.
Right.
And, he felt guilty, so he got us breakfast sandwiches. So that's what I've learned, the art of manipulation with the children. It's like physical violence only goes so far. Sometimes you just got to guilt them.
Yeah.
Well, let's go take a pee and then get after your childhood.
Sounds good.
That sounded weird.
We're going to find your inner traumas. And I'm on tacticaldistributors.com right now, trying to get more of these Neptune pants, 4.0s. The skinnies or the slims, I don't know what they are, but they're sick. So I need more. Unpossible 15 gets you 15% off at checkout. Just go on there, get whatever you want. They have everything.
You know what else it gets you?
What's it get me?
Bitches.
15% off. Unpossible 15.
So what's little Wally doing growing up? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in a little town just south of Buffalo called Dunkirk, New York.
Dunkirk. Cold like Dunkirk?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was definitely cold.
Yeah, Buffalo's
Lake
no
effect
joke,
snow.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. You a Bills fan?
No.
No?
No, I grew up a Packers fan.
Really?
Green Bay. Yeah.
Is it your family from there or something?
No, my dad, long story, but like they had a couple football teams when they were little, and they were like the Raiders, the Packers, the Colts. This was before the Bills were a team, and so the little football team he played for was the Packers. And,
So he just...
Yeah, and then they were winning in the 60s, so Packer fan, and then I liked not sleeping in the garage, so I was a Packer fan.
Yeah, well, Buffalo had a rough go there. What, like 4 Super Bowls
Yep.
and all losses?
Yep.
Oh, Jim Kelly, poor fellow. All right, so you grew up there.
Yeah, I grew up there. I ran track. I did all the sports, but high school I ran track, cross country. I swam, and that was really kind of, I hated swimming, but the only reason I did was because I watched Charlie Sheen and wanted to become a Navy SEAL.
Oh, the documentary?
the true life story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did that really get you to want to be a Navy SEAL?
Yeah, it was,
Please tell me that's true.
no, I swear to God, yeah, it was first I wanted to be a pilot because of Top Gun, and then I saw Navy SEALs, and I was like, ooh, I want to do that. And then, that was the 90s. Not a lot of people. The military really wasn't a popular option back then, but it was something that just I gravitated towards, and that's kind of what I want to do.
Should have been a pilot.
In
hindsight.
One of you should have been.
No shit, yeah.
That's so great. Charlie Sheen, the greatest recruiting tool
Definitely.
of the armed
It really
forces.
was.
Well, I mean, that was, for people, I think my age to your age, that was.
No, that movie was awesome, and then you got into the books, the Dick Marcinko books. You got into the Patch Watson ones. Anything about Vietnam, you kind of read all those. I always loved World War II, so World War II is a big, just the stories behind that. Reading all those different books. Band of Brothers came out. You had Black Hawk Down came out.
Did the sounds for Band of Brothers. Just saying. Gun sounds, all from my guns.
He made them with his mouth.
Like that.
Yeah.
I've got I bought a World War II Jeep. I have that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's just fun.
Yeah, I never, it's so weird when I got into guns and stuff. I never cared about any of that.
Mm-hmm.
But my son, from the time he was born, he's the reason I have a lot of World War II stuff now. He always loved it. He didn't care. Because, when he's growing up, all you guys are around at my farm and stuff all the time. And it was, fine to him, but he didn't care. He was just, had his World War II helmet on and his M1 Garand. He's like, guys are pussies. No, but it was weird, for me, when I got into guns, I loved all the current stuff. And back then was H&K and that time frame. And for him, time he was born, we had a bunch of machine guns, his own range, all this stuff, and I was, what was he born into? But in the middle of advanced armament and all that stuff and supporting, you guys and alike. And he just, he's friends he would shoot with them.
Yeah.
Lindsey Bunch would be at the farm all the time. He's, sniper at the time and shoot with Aiden, and they were both very patient and stuff like that at work, but he didn't care about any of the current stuff. It was so weird. He just liked World War II.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, just last year I went to Normandy.
Oh yeah,
when France opened up, and it was always on my bucket list to kind of go.
Wait.
And it was just an amazing experience.
It
was the perfect time to go. It was 3 or 4 weeks after France opened up.
So no one's there.
So nobody was there. And it was just incredible, going through the different museums, going to the different, we were at Utah, we were at Omaha.
Yeah.
Just the cemetery. We went to Mount St. Angeles, where, what was his name? Sergeant, can't remember off the top of my head, but he got stuck on the tower. Played dead for a while. Sergeant John Steele. He jumped in. His parachute got stuck on the.
Oh, how terrifying!
He played dead for a while. He was actually captured. Then he escaped. Came back with his unit. Just incredible stories.
I got to read the story.
Yeah,
because I've been supposed to take him for the last couple of years. The Band of Brothers tour. We're going to do the whole thing, but COVID has been all screwy.
Did you just go, or did you? Because I see guys jump in all the time too, just to like do the jump.
Yeah. No. Yeah. We just went.
Yeah.
Like I said, this was last June,
Right,
early
yeah.
July. So really nothing was open. And
Yeah.
but man, it was incredible. And the amount of American flags that were there.
That's awesome.
And apparently we didn't go to the British or the Canadian sectors, but if you go to those sectors, they have all the British flags, they have all the
That's
Canadian, and they're just
That's
very,
awesome.
very thankful. There's a lot of different monuments everywhere.
That's so cool because you would never know this going to Paris.
Yeah.
Paris, actually, because we fly into Paris,
Yeah.
and it was a really good reception.
Oh, really? It was?
Because I think they were just happy to see
Oh,
the
tourists.
tourism.
Yeah.
And everything again. So it was really a warm welcome just across the whole country. It was a really fun time.
Because I've been to Paris a bunch of times and over the years, and yeah, it seems like traditionally they're not fond of Americans, but I do find like out in the country in France, like all country people are good. It seems like and nice and yeah, but it is interesting to see. There's not a lot of American flags flying in Paris.
Probably not.
But yeah, in Normandy, they're everywhere, and the
It's so
different
cool.
the different memorials. They have one to Frank Winters from Band of Brothers. Yeah, they've got his statue, and then you go to some of the bridges, the two key bridges that where the main drop was, and you go to this one memorial, and they've got it's just incredible, and you within sight of this on the statue it says within sight of this memorial 2 Medal of Honors were awarded. And then it goes down how many distinguished service crosses, how many silver stars, how many bronze stars, and through the whole campaign. And you're just in awe of just the heroism that these men had.
I mean, you've been in combat, but I've not. I cannot imagine a scarier sequence than like Omaha or like the beginning of Private Ryan. Holy crap.
Yeah.
You talk about Charlie Sheen motivating people to want to join the military. Yeah. I think that's the opposite.
Yeah.
That seems like the scariest thing in the world. The balls those guys had.
Yeah. You go to the Airborne Museum in St. Mary-Lise. It's super interesting. So you go in there, they've got like a glider. They've got mock-ups of
the glider, cool.
Yeah, they've got the mock-ups of all the people inside of it with all their gear. And then you go in and there's a half of a C-47, and there's everybody's mocked up in their jump gear, and you walk into it and it all goes black, and all of a sudden it starts shaking, like, and then outside the window you start seeing flashes like it's the
like flak and stuff.
Yeah.
And
then you come to and then the instructor is I've been to airborne school, so he's talking about, and he's saying 30 seconds, hook up, and you're like, holy shit. And then all of a sudden it keeps shaking, and then you look out the window and you can see this recreation of just what it looked like at that elevation of the countryside, and there's flashes going off, and then you see other airplanes in the air, and then he's like, he goes, go, 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 and then you basically jump, you kind of jump out, but it's a clear step that you go into.
Oh,
and then there's like
that's scary.
And then there's a wind blast, so you kind of feel it, and it's incredible.
Oh, that's pretty
just
cool.
how they kind of recreate it.
Yeah, I didn't know they had done so much with museums there for that.
Yeah,
I was unaware. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
and then you got there's a museum on Utah. I mean, they're throughout there, and they're pretty cool. But some of the little stories that you go through, if you go, definitely get a tour guide, and they walk you through. The tour guide we had, she had a book of all old school pictures. So you would stand somewhere and she'd be like, okay, this is what it used to look like. And she would kind of walk you through all these different places. One of the coolest stories was, it was the day that everybody got dropped. There was obviously the Germans were there, the Americans were there, and one of the brothers of the guy that had this house, he got wounded, and the Americans came in, they patched him up, made sure the kid was still alive and everything. And then as all these stories kind of came out, the French started figuring out who everybody was. And on the side of their cobblestone barn, they would inscribe everybody's name. And then they finally found the guy that patched up his brother, and he still lives there today, 95 years old.
Damn.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so amazing.
Yeah, you get like cool goosebumps when you tell
I know.
somebody.
I mean, just thinking about that kind of stuff. Can you? I don't I have not seen all of the war movies,
Mhm.
nor have I been in war. But I can't imagine someone doing a much better job than they did with Band of Brothers, like conveying like the misery and just like
the emotions.
the aspects of it.
I think a thing that gets lost in that too is that difference between then and now is that in World War II, if you went to war, you went till the war was over. You didn't just go do a pump and then come back.
Yeah.
Like you went until it was done.
Didn't think about that.
Yeah. And that's what's crazy. Like you see these guys live through multiple theaters and then come back, and it's insane.
They did a good job with the movie too, I think, where one of the best things they did was to make it 10 parts or 8 parts, whatever it is, to where they didn't have to skimp on something or cut a lot.
Compress it into a 2.5 hour movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a wonderful. Oh,
yeah.
And then you have the Pacific. That was a great one.
I haven't even finished watching all that, but
that's a good one.
Use the sounds for that as well.
Barcelona. There's a new one coming out actually. It's about pilots.
Interesting.
It's not done yet, or it's not out yet. Whatever. But
if you're ever down in New Orleans, the museum down there, the National D-Day Museum.
Yeah, I took Aiden. I don't know, probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's amazing the amount of airplanes that they have there.
Incredible.
I remember the first time I went there, it was February of 2011, and I thought National D-Day Museum, right? Just the Atlantic. So I walked through that whole thing, and then all of a sudden you walk into the Pacific side, and you're like, oh, I don't have enough time to go through this.
No, it's big.
Yeah. That is not a theater that I would want to have been in.
I know I haven't been able to. I've watched about half of it so far, but it seems like you think, oh, you watch Band of Brothers, and Europe was like so terrible in its own way, but it's a whole different kind of terrible.
Europe was still almost like a gentleman's war, quote unquote. Like there's still some sort of, it seemed like, honor in what was going on, where the Pacific Theater seems nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just culturally too, it's so vastly different. I think it's something like, we don't understand that. Like they're much different than us, than our society, than Europeans.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you relate to it better. Yeah. I'm about halfway through, and there's a bunch of scenes that have just blown me away with that. I mean, that movie's gruesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. So we go from you being a little kid to war movies.
Yeah.
So what happened? You're in high school. You're playing a sport. So your family, were they in the Navy as well, or in the military?
Yep. I had all my uncles were in the Navy. One uncle was a pilot in Vietnam. He was a CSAR pilot. We had another.
Was that helicopter?
Helicopter. Yep.
Yeah.
And then we had a few other uncles that were just in, I think, for 4 years. And then I had another uncle that was a diver. Then he became EOD. And like I said, that was.
Did they all hate the Army?
They're 100% Navy. They don't hate Army. They're 100% Navy.
Okay. PC.
Yeah.
So there was no option for you if you wanted to go in the military.
So, little known fact, I actually joined the Army.
Oh,
I was going to be an Army Ranger. And,
Wally the rebellious one.
And my uncle called me up and he's like,
he slapped you.
He goes, you will be driving a Jeep for a general. So got out of the delayed entry program in the Army, joined the Navy, and then got my SEAL contract and joined the Navy when I was 17. My parents signed that paperwork.
And so you had a contract going in that you would be able to go through BUD/S at least, or
no? It was it was called the SEAL Challenge back then, and it basically said that in boot camp or A school, I can't remember which one it was, that you would have you would be able to take the test, and if you passed the physical test, then you would go to BUD/S.
Oh, okay. So you have a route, an opportunity.
Yep.
What year did you go in?
99.
Oh, okay. I was 4.
You kids are so young. I was old.
So went through boot camp in Great Lakes. Then I went through Gunner's Mate A school there. That was 4 months. And then, during A school is when I got my orders to BUD/S. And then, so I was there, I think it was March or April of.
So you got to go to BUD/S really. You never done anything except go through.
Yeah, I was a paper boy, and then I went to BUD/S.
Did you?
That's cool.
Did you just walk through BUD/S, or did you get it and roll back or anything like that?
Didn't roll back. I did not walk through BUD/S.
No. I don't think.
Well,
Why?
He's like, it's easy.
It's not that bad. So
So easy.
No, I mean, obviously it was when you look back at things, it's a lot of, you're like, oh, that was fun.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit, I didn't want to do that again.
Yeah.
But no, swimming was always my thing. It never occurred to me, like when I ran, I ran high school. I ran, like I was a miler, like I had a 4.5 minute mile.
Jesus.
But I was, tiny, but
Is that good? 4 minutes?
Not for you, but for the average man, yes.
Yeah.
but if you, but if I ran harder or put out harder, you would go faster.
Right.
In swimming, that's not the case.
Okay.
You create more drag, all this other thing. So I would go slower. I'm like, this doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So I had a swim lesson, as I'm in buds. They're like, hey, you just need to tweak this on your technique. And I dropped like 9 minutes off my 2 mile swim.
Wow.
2 mile swim. You and
Is
I
that
would,
far?
Jay. I mean,
You'd find me at the bottom of the ocean.
You could survive with me on your back. I, unfortunately, though, had to do it by myself.
Yeah.
Die.
Yeah. Anybody that says they didn't think about quitting is probably a
Yeah.
liar.
Yeah.
At some point, you kind of think through it.
But that was the worst part for you, was the swimming?
Swimming was hard. I mean, I don't know anybody that didn't not or like the cold. So that was obviously miserable.
Yeah.
But it was good for me because I went through when I was 18. I was young and stupid.
18. See, I didn't even know that. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, I mean, the little bit that I know is that you have to get a rate first, and then...
Now you don't.
Oh, okay.
Back then you did. Now the process of going to buds is a completely different process. I've mentored a few kids since then.
Right.
One's made it through. One's actually in there now.
Oh, nice.
And it's completely different. Like
Right.
you have to that physical test that you have to do. You have to basically score in the top percentile
Right,
before
yeah.
they give you a class.
And is there like a pre-buds now or something like? I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't
know.
keep up.
Well,
on all of it.
so basically, you were a SEAL your entire military career.
Yeah, other than the first 6 months, and then
I'm sure that counts.
counting buds. Yeah.
So were you a
That's
pre 9/11 SEAL, or did your pipeline take you
Nope.
up until that? Yeah.
Nope. I was so I got to my first SEAL team in 2001, April,
oh,
somewhere around there.
they're like, hey, warm up. We've got something for you, young man.
So yeah, I was 19 when
Yeah.
I showed up. So
Holy shit.
we started my workup. Just not knowing. I think we were going to go to Europe anyways, and then we were down in Camp Lejeune in September of 9/11. Obviously, trajectory of my life changed after that.
Right. Yeah.
It was interesting on kind of how we were kind of talking about it yesterday a little bit on what the finish line is. And we always, people think, you start a business, that could be a finish line or anything. And it's always ever evolving, your finish lines. And at that time, really didn't know what the command was or anything like that. But then you started hearing about who was going over there.
Right.
When I joined the SEALs, I was like, okay, you're a SEAL. Like,
You made it.
9/11 happens. Like,
Yeah, did you know like what your vet was or anything when you were 17 and going to the Navy?
I mean, other than, the old Dick Marcinko books,
Yeah.
not knowing,
Red Cell.
Yeah, thinking it's not there anymore. You just kind of I didn't know.
So that wasn't a goal for you. It was just like, oh, I'm going to go to the Navy and be a Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
Huh.
And then
Were you on an East Coast or West Coast team?
East Coast.
East Coast. Yeah.
Yeah, I was at SEAL Team 2.
Okay.
So that kind of started happening. Then you're like, what is this other thing that's going on? There's another level. So your finish line.
It's like, wait, I just went through all this. I thought I'm supposed to be the most badass guy ever. Wait, this is junior college?
Yeah. So you start looking at it, and you always have to look at that next goal, what
Yeah.
it is, because it doesn't matter even after that, after you make it to wherever, there's that continually,
Yeah.
you just don't make it. Like if you think about like the Olympics or anything like that, they're training, depending on your race or anything, you're training 4 years to run 11 seconds or 9 seconds,
Well, and then let's say you do it and you win the gold medal. Well, hell, a lot of people have one. I need to get 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that many people have 3.
Yep.
I mean, you're right. It is. It's like there's not really a finish line for most of that stuff.
No.
And unfortunately, in that career, there's kind of well, this is as far as you can go there, but.
Yeah, I mean, there's a pinnacle, but then you have to perform every day, and that's that's the, but being around those individuals that push you, that you look up to, that's and getting to go to work every day with those caliber individuals is very humbling, and it drives you even more. Yeah,
I know most guys in your seat that have been in similar situations, and I know probably one of the most remarkable people I've ever known. He was like. He always told me, and we spent a lot of time together years back when working with them, became good friends, and he's like, and I think similar to you, he also is a set of brothers. Mm-hmm. He's like, we were just always competitive, and he's like, so through grade school, high school, everything, without trying, I was the best at something, or second, maybe third if I had a cold, and he's like, that's just been my whole life. I never really had to work that hard at like physical things to be great. And he's like, man, it's different when you get there. He's like, even he was on the Army side, and he's like, even in, SF, like I was still, at like all the physical stuff and everything, like always the top one or two guys. But he's like, when you go that next level, it's like I had to work harder than I've ever worked just to be average, like not to be a loser. Yeah. And like you get surrounded by guys like that. So yeah, I mean, you got to think. Just watched to segue into some other tangent, the Last Dance with Michael Jordan.
Yep.
If you guys have seen that, it's interesting. So now I'm watching it the second time, and it's so funny, like hearing these players, whether it's like Dennis Rodman or Scottie Pippen or these other guys, they were like, well, yeah, we were really good, and you think you're awesome till you get on the court with Michael Jordan. And it's then like everyone hated him. Like everybody hated him that played with him, because it's like he is so maniacal about like being the best and winning all these championships. And they're like, you wanted to strangle him all the time, but like once it's over, you're so glad you're on his team, because there's no way we'd accomplish this without him, sort of stuff. Yeah. And it's like, making guys better. And and he'd say the same thing. He's like, I got to be challenged in practice every day, and I can't have them like slacking off. Like we got to get after it. Yeah. And so it's just interesting, like people at that level, and you got to find other people at that level to work with to sort of continue to like and improve and stay on top of your game.
Yeah, I mean, by no means, and you have to realize that you're not going to be perfect at everything. They're going to make mistakes, but working with those individuals that help drive you, because bottom line is you don't want to let them down. And that's the huge thing. And I think,
in team sports, that's if you want to win, and you don't want to be that guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just striving always to be better, taking on that criticism, and understanding that that's the business that we're in, right? So you take that criticism. It's not that you're not going to go drink beers after, or you're not going to hang out. It's that you got to be able to separate that as well.
We talked about it when you got to the office yesterday, and we were having the company meeting, and as part of what we're trying to convey is like if you fuck up or you're not good at something, it doesn't mean you're not valuable. It's like you got to learn to take that criticism. Then can you be great at this? Or you can't be great at this. Are you in the right position? Or do we just take this part of what you do and we have someone that is great at that? Or, what can you do to be better at it? But so many people, it is a difficult thing when an organization gets so big. And because it used to be, and I was telling them, when there's 11 of us, everyone's under the microscope all the time, and you all have to do 3 jobs. You all know if someone's slacking or if something happens. And if you have a common goal to accomplish something, you're not beating somebody up about that. It's like you all have the common goal. You want the criticism because you want to improve, and you want to help the team. You don't want to let them down. And it's difficult when you get large organizations, though, and people can hide fuck-ups and things like that. And like I tried to say yesterday, like no one's ever going to lose their job like fucking up working for me. It's like if you're unwilling to like face what happened, and like I love the mistakes because those can create the painful things to where you really have to buckle down and face these things and come up with a new tactic to like achieve a goal. And like that's how we get better. So these things are great.
That's one of the I think I told you the other day though, it's one of the things that you've said that has kind of stuck with me the most is people are afraid to fail innately. But you said that like a lot of people think that making a mistake is a failure. And in and of it, and even if it was, which it's not, having a failure because you're trying something is not a failure. And being able to, like you just said, if you can't address it yourself or see what you did wrong yourself, having people to show you, hey, the reason that it quote unquote failed is maybe you took a misstep here. Alter that and you might succeed.
Yeah.
And that in and of itself, I think it's something that it's been a hiccup to get over. Like there's a fear of failure regardless.
I think
and
for
being
a lot
able
of
to put
people,
that, and being able to put that aside is something that is important. And like I said, it's something that you've said that stuck with me, and it's something I have to think about. Where it's like, hey, just even if I do something, I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna work. Just try it, and we can alter it if it doesn't.
I'm happy to live with the results of people trying new things for us to reach this goal.
Yeah,
like
that's how you innovate.
That's what people don't get, when I talk about like me and Ethan, I try to talk about us in these meetings because, I'm not fearless, but when it comes, like, if I'm not dying, it's like, how big a deal can it be? But when you're trying to innovate or with you guys at like that level, like a tier 1 level, like everything's different. You can't control all the variables. You can train, you can be prepared, and we can, you can storyboard this thing and come up with all these things that could go wrong. And a couple of them are going to go wrong, but then all these things are going to go wrong that none of you can think of, even with all your experience. But what you got to do is understand, okay, well, that's going to happen, and we're still going to get it done. Like we're going to have to make some, game time decisions. We're going to have to do all these things, but we're not going to be pussies. We're not going to, point the finger or ignore it or pretend it didn't happen. Like, let's just face it and go. Like Ethan and I think, are very okay with failing. Because like we always, like Ethan and I get along in the sense of we want to innovate. And if you're trying to do something no one's ever done before, like you're going to fail a bunch. It's just inevitable. But that's what gives you that knowledge to get there. And it's cool, that now that I've got 30 years experience, Ethan has 20.
Yeah.
So we have 50 years between the two of us doing pretty much this one thing that we do. So we have made so many mistakes. And it's interesting now where I was like the young guy in the industry for 20 years. And now I'm an older guy, and there's all these young companies, and I see them do things, and I'm like, ooh, yep, probably should have tested that a little more. That's not going to go well. And I don't know because I'm so brilliant. I know it because I have the scars of like doing it, and having to work through it. Yeah. And, and it's always, for me, my motivation was I don't want to work in a factory like my dad. Like, I would rather die.
Yeah.
Like, seeing his life, and part of it was just like his attitude is so miserable. But like, I want to do my own thing. Like, I want the freedom to fuck up or crash or do all drones. So all these things on my own. But, that's where it's so great for me, whether it's, I love the creative side. So working with you guys in marketing is I love and enjoy. And that's the thing. Like, marketing is such bullshit. And I love it. And it's like, I feel like now what I know is that we're cool. And as long as we're authentic and as long as our dudes are developing the best products that we can create a demand for, we can't really fail with marketing that much because there is no like kind of right or wrong with it. It's like if we get engagement and we have a good time and there's a back order, that's how I measure our marketing. Yeah. There's success and failures. It is interesting. Like you run a company now, I run a company, and it's like, I'm not sure, but I imagine you will say it's the most difficult thing is like people. Like solving that and motivating and keeping everyone like getting after the goal because the personalities and everything. Everybody's so different. Like that's where it comes to a gun thing. To me, it's just like so simple, even though it's not, because I know we have a really smart engineering team and we know some problems we're going to encounter. And then there's all these that we're not smart enough to see now that we're going to encounter. But what we do know is we can get there if we keep working at it. You got to have tenacity and you got to be open and honest with each other. And you have to accept that feedback, which here's the long rant. But it gets back to that. I mean, you got to be able to be critical of yourself and listen to other people and know that you're right. We're going to go have a beer after. This doesn't mean like, Wally's an asshole and I don't like him anymore. It's like he's wanting, me to be as helpful as I can.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it comes back to what I said and how you take that perceived failure. Thomas Edison talked about it. How when he was
how many times did he fail?
And he said he didn't fail. He said he found out another way not to make a light bulb.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you're at that edge, that cutting edge of innovation, you gotta be able to. How do you accept that? When when you frame it like that, and it's in a different aspect, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I love it now. Even with social media, like people like haters, it's like all these anonymous little idiots that don't do anything.
If they actually trained as much as they fucking were on their tape on their keyboard, they'd probably be better at what they do.
Yeah, but you think about too. You also, like, I started my first company when I was 19, just like you becoming a freaking Navy SEAL. Like, how stupid were you then compared to now?
Oh.
And and it's the same thing for me. It's like, well, given the information and my experience and maturity and everything else, life knowledge, this is how I felt then. This is like, because literally, we know kind of an internet idiot that tries to measure stuff that just like brought up stuff about me from 30 years ago. And it's like, yeah, of course I was stupid 30 years ago.
5 years ago, I was a person that I wish I was like. I'm just like, man, I wish I wasn't like that.
But whether it's a goal, and it seems obvious to me, but most people should understand with their life, it's like we have this goal. And like for me, the overall goal of the company is innovation and quality and building a brand and us enjoying going to work every day. Like that's like the goal for me. Like it's not a financial goal or this or that, but a lot of it, our journey, things are going to happen and you got to be able to shift and correct. And I'm going to learn things that, right now there's a lot of stuff that I'm like, fuck you guys, this is right. And 2 years from now, when we have more experience, more failures, more successes, I'm going to be like, yeah, I used to think that. But it's why I say I reserve the right to change my mind, because I'm going to learn some stuff that's going to show me I didn't know what I was talking about then. Yeah. And that's okay. But it is interesting that you, like I see it, at least with me running my mouth all the time, that I get a lot of criticism on like lots of stuff. And I was just like, okay, you're 23 years old. What you're talking about was something I said 28 years ago. Like, okay. Yeah. Being able to adjust and like,
flexibility.
Yeah. The flexibility as you're trying to reach these goals, and then new things pop up. Like right now, Ethan and I are still in love with small arms and, doing stuff that we think makes a difference on the commercial market and that can help the military. But it's called Q because I don't know. Like maybe Ethan and I were going to get old and get into sailboats or something. Like, what do I know?
Can't wait till we switch to missiles and bombs. And I'm going to shine.
Oh yeah.
But let me tell you something.
Yeah. But to me, that's kind of the exciting part of life. When I was younger, I thought, if I made money, I could control a lot of things. And it's like you get older and wiser, more experienced, and you realize like how little control you have over, stuff.
Yeah, there's one thing you can control, and it's yourself. So if you bet on yourself and continue to move that needle forward for yourself, that a lot of those good things do come if you do it the right way.
So let's say little 12-year-old Wally again, still want to grow up and be a Navy SEAL?
Oh yeah, there's very few things I would change, and probably wouldn't change. Even getting in trouble, it doesn't define you. You got to learn from it.
I wouldn't know. I've never gotten in trouble before.